Okay, so thank you again for joining us, and I'm going to turn it over to Erin to get started.
Good evening. Hi, Linda, and all the rest of us who will be joining us recorded. We are here tonight to talk about the planned improvements at Goodwin Park. I'm just going to share my screen really quickly. And I'm Erin Kirkpatrick. I'm the CIP program project coordinator for the Parks Department. So all of the projects that we have in our capital improvement program, I sort of help to shepherd from this public outreach phase all the way through construction. Let me just share my screen really quickly. All right, and hopefully everybody can see that presentation. Tonight, I am mostly just going to walk you through what we call our boards. So the landscape architect for parks has prepared a couple of informational layouts that go through the choices that you have for this particular park improvement. We also have a survey that's available online, and Shauna will link to that in the chat that you can go and fill out, that has a few additional questions, not just around the Ramada and the park improvements, but also what future amenities you may want to see in Goodwin Park. And it also has a fairly substantial comment section. So if you have other comments or concerns to share, make sure to do that too. All right, so that's my info. You're also welcome to email or call with any questions at any time. And for Goodwin Park, we have, for this particular project, we have planned the addition of a picnic Ramada. This is part of our approach, our equity approach to our parks at this point. We are trying to, with our recreational value program, get each of our parks up to at least a baseline standard of amenities. So no matter where your park is, or where how old it is, or where it is in the city, they will all have at least a picnic Ramada. And because of the size of Goodwin Park, it has the option of having two. So we're taking input on that. Another piece that we're folding into this project is a redesign of the soccer field lighting to LED soccer field lighting. So it'll be a little bit more directional and more easily controlled remotely as well. There'll be new trees, sidewalk connections made from wherever the new Ramada or Ramadas are. And then we have a rubber surfacing for the playground. We're trying to convert all of our sand playgrounds to fully accessible rubber at this point. And I know that's something that a lot of people in the neighborhood have some opinions about. So we definitely appreciate people sharing their input on that as well, even though it's not a specific question on this survey. Definitely put it in the comments if you have an opinion about that part of the project. This is an overall view of Goodwin Park, and all of these images and documents are available. They're linked on our website, and they're also in the survey itself embedded. So you've got your playground area, your courts, your soccer field. And then these are the potential locations that have been deemed as both kind of flat enough, out of the way enough, and accessible, and that we could create accessible connections for as options for that new Ramada. So you have the option of one large, which is I think 24 by 34 feet, or two small, so 20 by 20 Ramadas. This location A is by the soccer field, kind of, sort of, off of that end. And then B would be over the existing picnic table that's here, kind of inside the playground space. And then C is between the basketball court and the playground. So those are all the layout location. If you're not a fan of one or two or all of those, and you have other suggestions, again, feel free to share that as well. This is why we go out to the neighborhood to get your input on how the park is used and where you'd like to see your amenities. These are photographs of those locations. So again, A near the soccer field, be embedded in the playground and see between the basketball court and the playground. Another question we have is what type of column material you are most in favor of for your Ramada. Got the metal post, which a lot of people like for its anti-graffiti properties, really easy to clean up, really easy to paint over, fairly simple and basic. But I'm trying to think, if you've been to Peterson Park recently, we just had a big redevelopment of that entire park. That's actually a metal post finish and it still looks pretty high end. There's also the scored CMU block, a notch CMU block, which is a little bit thicker, wider, and then or a stone veneer. And the stone and the notched and the scored, none of those would necessarily be these colors. It would be chosen in line with what the park looks like already and sort of the character of the neighborhood as well, and what's available these days. But those are those options. And then again, the survey will be open for 2 weeks. So it'll be closing November 1st. And you can fill it out, have your neighbors fill it out, relatives fill it out, anybody who lives in the neighborhood. You know, if you have children, they can have their own votes. The more the merrier. And then we will collect all those comments and move into our design process from there. If we do have a lot of comment regarding that sand conversion, for example, or not a lot of support for the Ramada across the neighborhood, we may move into a second round of outreach just to make sure we've got a clear picture of what the neighborhood supports. Yeah, I think that's it. The shortest presentation ever. Shauna, do you have anything to add?
No, I just went ahead and I put the link in the chat so you can access it there. And certainly encourage any of your neighbors also to give input into what you'd like to see in the park. And we are also here to answer questions. So informal there, so feel free to unmute yourself and just if you have any questions of Erin, she's happy to reply.
Yeah, or if I can show you anything or point out the options more clearly, just let me know.
And if you think of, she gave you her information and I'm going to put it in the chat as well in case you think of a question after too, then you'll see it.
Right. I did do the survey today and in the comments, I just put a bunch about the sand.
Okay. Perfect. That's exactly what we were asking folks to do. It's great because it's open right now that we can aggregate all those comments and make sure they're part of the public input summary as well.
Yeah, because every time we go to that park, people that have come to our park, they do it because the sand's there, you know, and the kids do the swings and the slides, but they all end up playing in the sand together, you know, and like if you're on a swing and you want to hop off, sand, I think is softer than rubberized rubber.
Yeah, it can be for sure.
And then we have a zip line too, and that also is a good place to drop into sand, not into something rubberized.
Okay.
So we're voting for keep our sand, keep our sand. Our granddaughters are 3 and almost 7, and whenever kids got in the park, they're all in the sand together, doing tunnels, doing castles, doing stuff like that. And I've lived in this neighborhood 35 years. And we've seen all the wonderful improvements to Goodwin Park. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful over the years. My daughter grew up, you know, in this neighborhood. This is our daughter, Beth. And then now we get to have our granddaughters enjoy it also. And we just feel where the park's at right now is where it should stay because it's, you know, I've had foot issues and I actually have been okay on the sand, you know. So a senior's input says, I can handle that. I want to keep the sand.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Our unfortunately, it's not an ADA accessible surface, which is ultimately our goal for accessibility, that we want anybody and everybody able to get to the playground equipment. And so we try to go over and above that by creating fully inclusive playgrounds across the board. But like like I said, this is a neighborhood park. It's not a community or regional park at this point. And so getting the input of the neighborhood and trying to come to a solution or middle ground on it is definitely something that we want to look very
Yeah.
yeah.
Aaron, that's why I logged in, because I saw your email today saying, no, look, they're gonna pave it. Like,
Who said that?
you did, and you're like, no, they're gonna pave it. We'll try to get another, like, the possibilities to get a sand option. So that's actually why I logged into the Zoom, because I just wanted to make sure I did understand that correctly.
Oh, my email asking folks to make sure to fill out the survey with the comment.
I saw that too, but you said in one email. Here, let me bring it up. I just want,
I think that came from somebody else who had been at the meeting, who also, I think the thing I want to be really clear about this, because the sand is not something we thought to ask in this particular survey, and we haven't in former projects, this is like a whole new realm for us. We don't have defined options to give you right now, because the way that we work as public servants is we listen to you. That's why we do the outreach, and then we come up with, okay, what's gonna be a great, solution to
good.
this.
Okay, I wanted to seem so final, and I would want to, but it's not so final.
No. So
Okay.
I think you came up with a couple options, and then maybe it was Laura who responded with what she heard. And what we're trying to do right now is just get as much input and feedback as we possibly can, so that we can move to that next step of figuring out what the options are and the solutions are. But yeah, I don't think it's not, from my discussions with my higher ups, it's not off the table that the sand stays. It's not off the table that the sand goes. It's all open.
Oh, we're all in discussion. Okay, good. I did misunderstand that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to clarify. And I think, like I said, I think our main goal is to kind of weigh the needs of the neighborhood and the need for that open-ended play with our goal to make sure people can get to what they need to get to, right?
Yeah, I like Kavita chimed in that they're gonna do like the strip around, like a kind of gravelly strip.
Yeah, that's a potential. Yeah.
Okay.
For the buffer. Yes.
But yeah, that seemed good. I think even a sidewalk would be great. And not just because Evelyn and Evie do the big wheel.
Yeah, I forgot.
Sorry, Evelyn and Eleanor do the big wheel.
Actually, let me show that really
I
quickly.
know, do you recognize?
So what is discussed too is, so this perimeter right here where all the park backs up against everyone's walls, we will be installing what we call landscape buffer. So it's like a 6 foot wide path of DG. And what it does from our side, from the maintenance side, is it keeps the park sprinklers off those homeowner walls. So it moves the water away from the wall and gets a clearer delineation between the park landscape and our potential impact to the homeowners. What it can serve to do, although it's not, again, it's not accessible, it's not, we would never call it a walking path. What it does serve to do is provide a surface that's walkable,
Oh yeah, that was when we're talking about the survey, that was actually an improvement I was thinking about, especially after we talked about the bleachers. And you said, oh, we need to do a path. And it was like, well, people do walk laps around the park. So it would be nice to have a sidewalk there. Mm-hmm. And that would open it up to future bleachers if you wanted to do that, to make that accessible.
And that's what we find in some of the other places too, is that it kind of becomes that circuit route, right? So then you've got a circuit that you can run.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
We try to combine everything, like anything we have like anticipated or in the CIP plan for Goodwin, we try to, we're going to try to get done in the same timeline so that you're not experiencing, rolling construction through the park. So that is another piece that will be happening around the same time frame. At this point, usually from our initial outreach, it's taking about 2 years before we hit the ground in construction. So you're still not going to see any of this for another couple of years as it goes through design and it goes through the bidding process and it goes through council and it goes through construction procurement. It'll still be a couple of years.
And we do have rubberized access to the slides. We do have rubberized access to one of the swings,
Mhm.
you know, and also the tire swing and one of the kids swing. So it's not like you're limiting, you know, people that are in wheelchairs to get to a lot of the things in the park. So again, voting for the sand.
Yeah, and yeah, just capture those comments in the survey for sure. I think.
And, the Ramada, I kind of said, well, maybe just put shade over our picnic tables, but I said no for a Ramada, but I didn't look into that as much because that wasn't my goal, you know, at this point when I did it. But one Ramada would probably, you know, a Ramada would be nice, but then it would be a fee to reserve it, right?
No, not in the neighborhood park. So the only places we have reservable Ramadas are usually when there's other amenities attached, and normally there needs to be a restroom, a parking lot, a field that's reservable by reservation, you know, or a and they're in our community and regional parks. So unless the neighborhood had a huge push internally to want to reserve it, it would be first come, first serve kind of available
Right.
to anyone.
That's what it is. Okay, good question.
Yeah, and the only difference between, so if there wasn't universal support for the Ramada, we would move towards looking at other shade options for the park. The only difference there is that the shade is not weatherproof, waterproof, right? So you wouldn't have the same protection from the elements as a Ramada, but it's
Right.
you know, soft sail fabric. So
Yeah, I probably would have redone that and said pick a Ramada, but I didn't. So, you know, but anyways, but just because again, I wasn't focused on that. But I can put it when I fill it. And she'll put it in when she fills out her survey
okay.
and that sort of thing. But,
Yeah, and if you need Shauna to adjust any of that, she can always do her magic too in our final reporting, right?
Cool. Do you have any other questions?
No, just
Okay.
is good.
Yeah, we just wanted to give that input just because I know we play with Emmeline's little girl all the time in the sand. So it's like we just we're trying to keep it. So, but appreciate you offering these opportunities to talk. You know, because it's I do the surveys all the time for the city when I can. So like recycle, et cetera, you know.
Yeah, I know there's a lot that comes through. I live in Tempe myself too, but it is important. And we do really, really look, you know, carefully at it, and all those comments are definitely weighed. So it's important to respond to them. So, and this is a short one. This is an easy one. So it's not gonna take a lot of time.
Well, we appreciate it, giving your time for us, and we'll just hope that the right thing happens, you know, or doesn't, because again, Ramada, either way, I'm okay. You know, I wasn't very picky on that one, but we're trying to eliminate all rubber dyes. So sorry, shut up, Linda. I keep talking.
No, you're fine. No, it's great. It's good to hear it.
Yeah.
And either way, we'll follow up. So you'll hear, you hear the results. You don't have to wait. So.
Yeah. Sounds great. Okay, but you did a great presentation. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
All righty. Have a good evening.
You too.
Also, thanks for your quick response this morning, Erin, on fixing the link.
Yeah, thank you for calling that to our attention too. It was set to publish and for some reason it didn't. And I really appreciate that you reached out because no one else did. I was so surprised. I'm like, it's supposed to have been open for 2 days. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I'm glad it wasn't me. So I actually haven't checked it yet, but I gotta check it again, make sure I can. But everybody's doing it now, so
yeah.
Okay.
And there'll be a reminder sent out, just a double, you know, another reminder just that it's open until the 1st, and so that people make sure to pop in.
And the flyer was very good. Good flyer. Thank you.
Oh, great.
Yep.
We'd love to hear that. Thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, we didn't get the flyer. We must be far enough. Is that it?
No, you should have. We're in Street. Yeah.
Yeah, it went to the whole area south of Warner
Oh, maybe I'm-
between Price and Lakeshore.
Mail is a weakness for me. So all right, maybe I missed it.
And a key person in our neighborhood, she posted it on our next door also, so we could see it there too.
It could be,
Yeah.
Yeah. that's-
Aline, I'm going to put my email in the chat. If you shoot me your address, we can always double check just to
my
make, because we're
mail
going to
one
send
more time.
updates and other stuff. So I want to make sure that we aren't missing you.
Mhm. We'll collect the addresses, the email addresses too of everybody who fills out the survey and includes theirs. And so you'll get updates through that. There'll be a kind of an internal messaging set up for just the Goodwin Park respondents. So you'll get through that as well as through the mail, but we do always send a mailed update. And so especially when construction's about to kick off, it's nice to get it that way. Sometimes you're not paying attention online anymore to the project because it's been such a long time. That construction update postcard will come through the mail as well.
I'm gonna check one more time. I'm gonna check.
Okay.
Cool. All righty. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for being here.